My name is Matrix Ferreira. I am the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Iron Performance Center out of Niagara in Ontario, Canada. And I've been coaching for close to a decade now. Athletes from various backgrounds, whether they be high school age, college, or professional level, from a variety of sports, ranging from rowing to volleyball, basketball. We train football players, baseball, hockey, you name it. We've had those athletes come through our doors here. The type of periodization we use really will kind of depend on not only the training age and demographic we're working with of what type of athlete, but also the time of year that we find ourselves in. So I would say on average, if we're looking at a typical off season for most athletes of various training ages, you're probably going to see some form of block or undulating periodization. And then when we start to go in season, you might see a slight variation to more concurrent style periodization or some form of that blended with block style periodization. The reason we do this is because if we're looking at a typical off season where we have more flexibility in the time that we can train our athletes, we can focus on a quality to a certain extent that we can prioritize and hammer with more volume typically. And we have the time to then develop further qualities and kind of stack on those developments over time. Versus in season, we might find ourselves, although we bucket them based on where their metrics currently fall, and we try to cater things a little more individually that way. More concurrent style may be useful, so we can kind of hammer all bases relatively evenly and not leave too many things on the table while we balance, obviously, the demands of sport and preparing for games and what have you. And we've seen good progress in both of those styles. So typically we tend to be peaking for our preseason work, and we've seen block style periodization or undulating periodization work very well for that. We have our athletes typically in their best shape as the season starts. And then concurrent, we're actually able to, at least from what we've seen, able to hold on to those training qualities within, I would argue, a 5 to 10% plus or minus range. From our own demographic that we've seen. And we've also seen athletes PR in season through a concurrent style periodization. And keeping in mind, though, there is some individuality with this. Like I said before, we bucket them based on where they fall in a certain quadrant of their metrics compared to their team or whatever their normative data pool is. But that's how we kind of make it a little more specific to what they might need, like our athletes' individual weak links and their relative chains, while still building on the concurrent theme. And that goes for how we've kind of planned around the chaos of sport using game days and schedules.